Hello, all KCS students. This is Devin Gunza. In today's video, we're going to learn about static routes. We have to do static route configurations. All right, so let's go back to our packet tracer topology. We've got two routers here in this scenario. We have building 1, Amazon building 1, and Amazon building 2. And the two buildings will be connected over a point-to-point network. So on G02 on each side, we're going to have 1.1.1.0/30. This network will be shared between building 1 and building 2. Okay, so in each building, we're going to have two lanes. In building 1, we're going to have the HR lane, which will have 30 employees. So network address will be 192.168.0.0/27. And then also we're going to pick the last usable address and assign it to G00. And also the same building 1 will have another department for management, and their network address will be 192.168.1.0/26. And then we're going to use this last usable, which is 62 on G01. Okay, and then building 2 will have the building departments and the facility department. Building department will have 192.168.2.0/29, and the last usable will be placed on the G00 of the building 2 routers. And then also facility departments in the same building 2 with the IP address, network address of 192.168.3.0/28, and last usable 192.168.3.14/28. So the IP address have been already assigned on the PCs. So what we need to do now is we need to configure the routers, okay? So now each PC has already pre-configured IP addresses. If I may connect to the first one called Bob, I run ipconfig, we can see that the IP address have been already configured and the default gateway as well. Same thing for Sarah laptop. On Sarah machine, let me move around, command prompts. So ipconfig, on Sarah laptop, we have PC, we have 192.168.1. Subnet mask 255.255.255.255.192, and the default gateway was already given. So what we need to do here now, we need to configure each network to the corresponding router first, and then after that, the main goal is to make sure that Bob's and Sarah, which are part of the building 1, Amazon building 1, should be able to connect with Benny and Lily using static routes. So let me put a title here, static routes. So static route is the process of manually setting the route in the route table, configuring the route table manually. All right, so let's get started by configuring the interfaces on this router. So when we first log into the router, we go to CLI. Here at the bottom, it says, would you like to enter the initial configuration dialog? Let's say no. And then enable is the first command to go into privilege exec modes. Enable, enter. Configure terminal will take us to the global configuration mode. From here, we can change the host name. So host name, let's say MZN building 1. Okay. Now, from there, we have two interfaces. Each interface will present a separate broadcast domain or separate domain or network address. Okay. So we're going to say interface G00/0. Let's turn up the interface. No, shut down. Now the interface change step, interface gigabyte Ethernet 0/0 change states to up, which means it turn on. It basically we turn it on, so it's green. And then we have to assign the IP address. IP address 192.168.0.14. Let's double check that. 30. It's the slash 27. So let's put the last usable slash 30 255.255.255.224. Enter. Interface G01. Now we're going to set up the network for the other sides. 192.168.1.62. IP address 192.168.1.62 and the subnet mask. That is 192. No shutdown. Now it's also up. As we can see, this section of the network is already set up. So we have Sarah and Bob. Bob and Sarah can now communicate. So we test that by running the ping commands. So from Sarah, we can do ping 192.168.0.1, and we should wait for the connectivity test. So the first ping will time out, and the second or the last three should technically be successful. As we can see, the third one was successful. Now it's working. So the router can now establish the communication between its LANs, right? So we got LAN 1 for HR and then LAN 2 for management. So to check every time we configure router interface by configuring an IP address on the interface, the router is building what we call the route table. So if we go back to privilege exec mode and tap the command show IP routes, we will be able to see the route table. So this is our route table. Inside the route table, you can notice that we have some characters. We got C. C is for directly connected network, and L stand for local, right? So basically, the first C we have, it's connected on G00, gigabyte 00, and it's also telling us the network. We have 192.168.0.0/27. This network is connected to the router from or over the interface G00. Now the L represents whichever IP from the network above has been chosen to be configured on the router interface. So that's the local. This IP address belongs to the network 192.168.0.0/27, which is the last usable. However, we have chosen that IP address to be configured on the router interface, so which makes it local to the router. That's why we have the L. Next, we have another C, which is 192.168.1.0/26. Second local area network, which is the management network on interface G0/1. Okay, so this part is done. We were able to test the connectivity between the two. Now let's move on to the building 2. On building 2, we have two lanes, billing and facility. So let's go back there and then do our configuration. Enable, configure terminal, hostname, MZN, building 2. Interface, G00, no shutdown. Let's take a look at the topology. No shutdown on G00. It's a /29 which has 6 usable addresses. So we have picked the last usable IP and assigned it to G00. So 192.168.2.6/29, it's a 248 subnet mask. So we're going to say IP address 192.168.2.6.255.255.255.248, and an interface G01. We need to check the IP address there. We've got 192.168.3.14/28. /28 network address gives us a total of 14 usable. So /14 is the very last usable address that we're going to assign to G01 for building 2. So IP address 192.168.3.14.255.255.255.240 for /20A. No shutdown. Now we have building 2 set up, so we can test by doing the ping between Lily and Benny. So ping 192.168.2.1. So here we're trying to ping Benny from Lily's laptop. And let's see what happens. First packets was timed out. I think it's still processing. And then second timeout, third success. Now, if we call back the previous command, we're going to get 100% success rates. Good. Now, as we can see here, Benny and Lily can communicate. However, Bob and Sarah also can communicate. Now, the goal is to make sure that from Bob's PC, we can go all the way to Benny's or Lily's. Okay, so let's try to ping Benny from Bob's PC right now, as of now. So we'll do ping 192.168.2.1. We are getting this message that says destination host unreachable. So there is a big difference between destination host unreachable and request timeout. So let's try this. 3.1, which is Lily's machine, it's also getting destination host unreachable. So instead of waiting too long, I can do Control C to break this. Now, destination host unreachable means from the router perspective, we're trying to ping Lily. Lily resides in network 192.168.3.0/28. As you guys can see here, this network doesn't exist in the route table. We don't have anything on this. When you look at the Cs, the two Cs, always check the Cs. We do not have anything that has 192.168.3 that some number, right? Or that 2 that some number. So which means building 1 only knows about the 2 directly connected network. So now we have a connection between the 2 buildings on G02 on each side. So we need to set up these IP addresses. So 1110/30. This IP address is a network address which only gives you 2 usable IP, 1111 on the left side on building 1 and 1112 on the right side on building 2, right? On each one of them is on G02. We can also add the subnet mask, which is a /30, 255.255.252. All right. So let's configure the connection between the 2 routers first. Config T, interface G02, IP address 1.1.1.255.255.252. And let's do a no shutdown. Okay. And then we go to the second router. Notice when you do no shutdown here, the line is still red because you have to do it on both sides. Okay. Interface G02. We are now in building 2. No shutdown. IP address 112.255.255.255.252. Now both sides are green and up. Okay. So if we run the show IP routes, we can see now that new C is added in the route table. So now this router now knows about network 1110/30, which is directly connected over G02. So it's a shared network. Both of them should learn about it. /111 is also there. Easy. So both of the router building 2 and building 1, they know about 111. Now let's try to ping again across. From Bob's machine, we're trying to ping Lily machine. and we're still getting destination host unreachable. The reason is because this router doesn't know about Lily's network. So we need to configure what we call a static route. Config T, IP routes. We need to put Lily's network from this router. Lily's network is 192.168.3.0/28. 192.168.3.0, 255.255.255.240. And then we need to add the next hop IP. Next hop IP means the next stop or the next router's IP address. Oh, we know that building 2 IP address is 112. So we need to add the next hop IP. 1.1.1.2. Enter. Now, if we verify the show IP route, do show IP routes, we can see now there is a S inserted in the route table. So this S is basically indicating to building 1 router. That's 192.168.3.0/28. You have to go via 1112, which is the next hop router or building 2 routers for this case. Okay, and after that, in building 2, we have another network which was 192.168.2.0/29. We need to add that one as well. So we're going to say IP routes 192.168.2.0, 255.255.255.248, 1112. Enter. Now, if we repeat the show IP routes table again, now we should have 2 entries with S, right? The first entry is 192.168.2.0/29, which is going to 112, the router in building 2. Router's IP in building 2, and the next network is these two. So which means building 1 routers knows now the path to go to building 2's networks, right? So if we ping again from Bob's, now we should get request timeout as a response, just because in building 2 we don't know, they don't set, we haven't set up the return traffic yet. Make sense? Now after doing that, we need to go, so when you go back to privilege mode here, you can do show running config pipe section IP route. This will pull up all the IP route entry typed in this router. So now we have the first one we did IP routes to the network 192.168.3.0 exiting on the next hop IP. Second is this. And then we need to go to second building and do the same thing. As you can see here, building 2 doesn't know about the existence of HR network and management network, which are on 192.168.0.0/27. So we need to add it manually. Because it's a manual process, that's why we call it static routes. Okay, IP routes 192.168.0.0, 255.255.224/27, exit interface or non-exit interface next hop IP 1.1.1.1. And then we have another network which was IP routes 192.168.1.0, 255.255.255.192, which is the /26 one, exiting on 111.1. Now, if we do a do show, or let's do exits, show IP routes. Now we should also have 2 S's. We've got the first S is pointing us to building 1's network 192.168.0.0/27 and also building 1 network 192.168.1.0/26. Now, once we do this, that's it, we have configured the 2 building and enable them to communicate. So now from Bob, we can be able to ping Lily's PC, which is 192.168.1. We can also ping Sarah's PC, which is on 2.1. And both should be successful. Okay, so that's it for tonight's video, guys. I decided to make this one just to help you guys understand today's lessons, which was static route. And then we've got default route, the quad zeros. We got static route using the exit interfaces, which we learn in upcoming lesson. Thank you so much for watching this video and keep practicing, guys. Okay.